So hello, this is Lokesh Bhartiya representing my department of economics, and today we are going to discuss a very important topic of our discipline, that is factors of economic development. In the earlier class we discussed about the economic growth and development, and in the second unit we discussed about the factors of economic development. But before starting, let me tell you, it is one of the most important point of our discipline, that what is development. So before starting, we are going to discuss the development first. The word itself define it is the development process of any country. First of all, we are starting from the definition. The definition says social and economic growth of citizens without any discriminations in terms of the health, education, living standard, so on and so forth. We call it as a development. But the thing is, the development always concerned with the qualitative as well as the quantitative indicator. So the major concern of the development is to measure the development, but the development having many more things related to it. And what these things are? Social inclusiveness is a necessary condition for any economical growing society to be termed as a developing society. So basically, if a country want to develop or in the phase of developing, they should have a necessary condition of the development process. Like in India, we always concentrate on the poor peoples. And what is the major problem of poor peoples? They do not have the basic life sustaining goods. The basic life sustaining goods considered to be as a food, shelter and clothes. So government will try to bring all the primary needs towards the people. So this is how the development process is going on. But without growth, there is no possibility of development. So please mention this point in your mind, your notebook, that without growth, there is no possibility of development. Because it's a very basic theory in the economics which says economic growth is directly proportional to economic development, which indicate if there is no growth in the economy, there is no economic development at all in the society. So basically, we are trying to increase the economic growth first, and simultaneously it increase the economic development. Yes, I know the question arising in your mind that this is not possible, sir, for us. Without development, there is any growth. But to be honest, the country which you see or the other countries which having a process of development should be gone through this phase of economic growth first. So always remember, if you want to increase the economic development in the country, in the society, we should have to increase the economic growth first. So basically, we are trying to increase the GDP, national income, NDP, so on and so forth, and all those indicators which having a quantifiable analysis, it termed to be as the economic growth process. So we're done with the economic development process. Now the other factors which are explaining the economic development are: economic growth is the change, increase or decrease in the value of goods and services produced by an economy. Let take an example. In 1947, we are producing some X good in the economy. You definitely think that the production of X will increase day by day, year by year and decade by decade on a very large proportion. So if you compare the production of X in 1947 till date, you definitely get the knowledge the production of X will keep increasing on day by day and decade by decade. So in the growth process, the change or decrease in the value or goods and services to be in the economy termed to be as the economic growth. It needs to be the measure as the government and private sector decisions and policy needs to base for the actions, because it is the government intervention which makes society welfare. all important aspects of the economy are linked to the growth, like the tax collection, the interest rate, the inflation, its expectations, employment, foreign trade, so on and so forth. So this is all about the development or so called the economic development. But we are here to discuss the factors of economic development. So we discussed the economic development, now we are dealing with the factors. So to understand any topic, not the factors of development, always remember bifurcate the topic into some other sectors or in the some other area. Like I bifurcate the factors of economic development into the two major bifurcation of this development. The first bifurcation said the economic factor. So we deal with the economic factor first, and now we are dealing with the non-economic factor. So the first factor is the economic factor. The economic factors include the other indicators, and which are these indicators? The first indicator is the natural resource. We can discuss it one by one, but here we are just discussing the major points. The second one is the capital formation. So it increase or it leads to increase the economic development in the society. The third one is the technological process. The fourth one is the entrepreneurship, and the fifth one is population growth. So these all five major indicators or the sub points of the factors, it definitely increase the economic development in the society. How? Let just started with the first point, which is the natural factor. We know natural resources are the scarce resource of the society and it impact society wisely. How? Natural resources are the most important factor influencing an economic development. Like if you see the America or the European country, they had a good amount of natural resource. But you also found some continents or the country in the Africa continent, they had a natural resource, but they do not have that technology. So always remember, it doesn't mean if you having a natural resource, you will definitely got succeed in the natural or the factor development process. Natural resource include all land area, soil quality, forest wealth, good river system like we had, like the Indus or the Ganga or the Brahmaputra and the South Indian rivers, minerals, oil resource or the favorable climate and so on. And the abundance of natural resource is critical for the economic growth. A country lacking in the natural resource may be unable to develop rapidly, like Uganda, Kenya, Somalia, Kiribati and the other countries which they having a natural resource, but the resources are very scarce in nature. It impact the development process of that particular nation. Now the second one is the capital formation. We understand by the theory of Adam Smith, which said the capitalist theory, there will be less government intervention in the economy and means of production should be owned by the private individual. So wisely, if we have a capital and we having an idea to formulate the capital, we definitely got succeed in the development process of our nation. So what it said, capital formation is the process by which a community saving are channelized into capital goods such as plant, equipment, machinery, which increases a country's productive capacity and workers' efficiency, ensuring a greater flow of goods and services in a country. So this is the theoretical aspect. Now I am giving the example with a very practical thing. If we want to increase the production in our firm or in our country or in a society, so we always do have to vary the two major variable. The first one is the labor and the second one is the capital, which we are just discussing. So if we increase the labor, it will definitely increase the productivity. Like a product want 10 labor and they make product like 1000 goods per day, and what if I recruit more than 20 laborers in my firm or in my country? It will definitely increase the production, right? But what if it do not get result while we increasing the labor? So the second variable is the capital. If we increase the capital by replacing the labor with the help of machine, now the machine which I imported from the Germany will make a huge quantity of product like 10 lakh product per day. So it definitely makes sense to increase the capital in the firm, society or the country what you want to choose. So capital formation again is the major factor through which the country will get the national development process. Now the third one is the technological process. Like the lecture which we are recording is only possible through this technology. So always remember the technological progress in the society will impact the development of that particular nation. Like the first line said, technological progress primarily entails research into the use of new and improved methods of production or the improvement of existing method. Basically the technology is nothing, it just a modernization process, adoption of new technology by replacing the older one. So we call this thing as a technological process in the society. Natural resource are sometimes made available as a result of technological, for like uranium and the other resource which the other country had. The fourth one is one of the most important or the important factors of economic development, that is the entrepreneurship. Without any entrepreneur, the idea, the country is unable to develop or make their society as a welfare society. What is the entrepreneurship? Entrepreneur are those who are came with a new idea of making the product. Like entrepreneurship entails the ability to identify new investment opportunities as well as the willingness to take risk and invest in a new and growing business unit. Like I am giving the example of Coca-Cola. If you see the Coca-Cola came with the idea of Diet Coke. It is very successful in the Northern America and some part of the Europe, but it is one of the worst plan in the Japan. Why? Because Japanese are very curious about the word diet. Yes, you are listen very right, the diet word. So the Coca-Cola make a research in Japan and try to find out what is a loophole in their policy with the Coca-Cola diet bottle. And the researcher came up with the result and they said the only concern of the Coca-Cola bottle is related to the diet. So the Japanese are very curious about the word diet. It might be a chance if you ask any Japanese, are you on diet? He or she slap you back. So this is the actual meaning. So the Coca-Cola researchers want replace the word diet with light. If you want, you can Google it. The Japan or the Japanese company of Coca-Cola are producing a can bottle with the name of Coca-Cola Light as compared to diet. So this is the entrepreneurship or the idea of entrepreneur which make to increase the development process of that particular nation. Now the fifth and the last point which is very important to us is the population growth. India is seeing a problem of population increase day by day and decade by decade. There is a population explosion in the country. But remember, population is not always bad for the economy. Why? If the statement is true, how can the China will increasing in the past 5 or the 10 years? So basically what I trying to explain is, if you use your population wisely, you will definitely got succeed again to achieve the development and growth in the country like the China had. The increase in labor supply is a result of population growth which create a larger market for goods and services. As a result, More labor produces more output, which I just mentioned with the example of China, which a larger market absorbs. Output income and the employment continue to rise as a result of this process. The economic growth improves. But why we are discussing the economic growth here? Because there is a direct linkage between the economic growth and the development which we just mentioned. So these are the some indicators of economic factors. Now there are some non-economic factors which influence the economic growth and the development process of the country. So now we are dealing with the non-economic factor. The first non-economic factor is the political factor. The second one is the social or the psychological, and the third one is the education. So the first is political factor. The political stability and the strong administration are the critical to modern economic growth. Like we are in the Madhya Pradesh and we saw this situation of political instability in the state. Like the Kamal Nath government earlier came with a new idea and new process of the administration, but after the low confidence motion enacted by the BJP government and the Mukhyamantri Shivraj Singh Chauhan came with a new idea. So now this thing will definitely make political instability in the economy and it will adversely affect the development and the growth process. So basically what I trying to explain is कि political stability must be there to develop the society wisely. A stable and strong and efficient government, honest administration, transparent policy and their efficient implementation foster investor confidence and attract domestic and foreign capital, resulting faster economic development. So we do have the political stability in the society if we want to achieve the economic development in the country. Now the second one is the social and the psychological factor. The first point says social factor, which include social attitudes, normal civic values, social values, ethics, morals. These all are the factors of social development which change education, expand and culture shifts from one society to the next, which is very true. Modern ideology, value and attitudes result in new discoveries and innovation as well as the rise in the entrepreneurship, which we just discussed in the economic factor. The last but not the least is the education. It is widely acknowledged that the education is the primary means of development. Like if we increasing the investment in the education sector, it will definitely bring the new idea, new technology, new entrepreneurs in the society, and we discussed it will definitely increase the development. Greater progress has been made in our country where education is widely available, like the Germany and the European country as an example. Example like in India, we are providing Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan, free and compulsory education for all, and मैं पढ़ता हूँ, भारत पढ़ता है in the Delhi government. Now, how can we measure the economic development with the help of certain measurement? So now we are dealing with the measurement of economic development. The first one is the human resource. So basically we having a economy to discuss on. Sir, economic discuss on means, but the economy means the management of available resources. This is a typical meaning of economy. So the management of available resources is how can we manage our resources to bring the maximum social advantage to the society. And basically we having a major three kind of resource, and one of the resource is the human resource which we are discussing. So human resource, we all are the part of human resource, but the need of the society is not for the human resource. They want capital resource. So if you see my hand, this is the human resource and this is the capital resource, and the lag in between is the skill development, my friend. So through the skill development you can make your human resource as a capital resource. So we are here to become the capital resource not a human resource. Yes, we need human resource, but the need of the today's era is for the capital resource. A country's human resource should be efficient in number and equipped with the necessary skills and abilities in order to achieve the economic growth, which we just discussed through the other example. Now, the second one is the capital formation. Capital formation increases the availability of capital per worker, which raise the capital labor ratio even further. So, we always have a resource in our hand. Which kind of resource? The capital resource. But the thing is, nobody having a knowledge to how can we use the capital resource to generate more and more productivity in the economy. And why we are increasing the productivity in the society? To increase the development and growth aspects of the society or the country. So, as a result, the labor productivity rises, leading to increase in the output and the economic growth. Like the our channel is providing the capital resource or the capital formation and definitely increasing our efficiencies to how can I deliver lecture without my presence in the class. You are not present in the class, you are seeing this lecture as a form of online classes or the technological tools. But the thing is, we are providing the capital formation, inducing the capital to increase the efficiency of mine as well as you. So, this is the practical example which I just gave it to you. Now, the third point is the technological advancement, measurement, right. So, technological advancement aids in increasing the productivity with the limited resources, and countries that have worked in the field of technology, which we are doing it wisely, development grow faster than the countries that have placed less emphasis on the technological development. Like ISRO said as a very good example of this, one of the successful research organization in the world, yes. So, ISRO is one of the best example to measure the technological advancement which we already had achieved. So, the selection of appropriate technology is also important for the economic growth process. The fourth one is the social factor through which we can measure the economic development. The first point is said social factor include custom, traditions, value, beliefs, all of which contribute significantly to an economic growth. A society with traditionally beliefs and superstitious, for example, is resistant to adopting a modern ways of technology. So, if you are not technically aware, or we can say society which adopting the present values and customs according to the present demand, if you are not doing so, you will lag behind in the development process. So, achieving become difficult in such a situation. So, we should have to adopt the new features, new cultures of the society like the Western countries are doing so. Okay. So, the last is the political factor. Political factors such as the government participation in the policy formulation and the implementation play a significant role in the economic growth. Like the government is providing Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, Pradhan Mantri Krishi Kalyan Yojana and the Janani Suraksha Yojana. So, basically these political factors through the government participation in the policy formulation will implementing and playing a very significant role to increase the economic growth in the society. So, now time to make it conclude. So, what is the conclusion? So, conclusion said we have to maintain the balance in between what? Economic growth and the development. So, economic development is always linked with the economic growth, and this is next to impossible to achieve both simultaneously. So, we should have emphasized on the economic growth first, and simultaneously we are trying to achieve the other indicators of the economic development. So, it is our duty, your and mine, to increase the possibility of economic growth through the above mentioned points which we just discussed. So, this is from my side. Thank you so much. Stay tuned for the next video. Thank you.